play fullback. I've sort of played a few positions throughout the year, dabbled in a bit of fly half as well, and went through a bit of time where we're trying to work out who the best one was. Just trying to help with those transitions into the way that we're playing and things. Helping out with the backs coaching. Quite heavily involved in the shape that we're trying to play and attack. Sort of joined the club with that kind of intent, and the way that Wixie and Edler were speaking when I met up with them. All our kind of paths aligned in our mindset for playing a certain way, so that was really enjoyable to get involved with. Oh, it's great. You kind of see, especially from sort of the more championship days of rugby league, all the real intricacies you get from people like those coaches that you have at places like Featherstone and Doncaster. All those real nitty-gritty intricacies of the sport, to the bringing those things into players that might not have had that before, and it's purely players just playing on pure instinct. And it's been quite nice just to bring those experiences in, whether it's a running line and really targeting a shoulder in defence, for example. Obviously it comes with its challenges as well, where players are trying to pick this up as you're doing it in training, and a lot of the time with me being a player coach, it's one of those where I'm trying to pick up on things as players are doing it, which again can be of good benefit in games when players are asking for my opinion in there. But yeah, playing particularly Nat 2 Rugby Union, it's knowing what works for other teams and what this club is aspiring towards. I'm able to use what works for those other clubs, as well as teams like Otley and Huddersfield that I played for and what they did well. You look at the likes of Wharfdale, Fylde, and the ways that they play, that you play against and you think, oh, it'd be great to play in a team like this. Some of those things that they do, it's been quite nice to try and apply into not only playing but coaching at Sandal for them. I think I finished school and I was playing down at Sandal, and sort of Wakefield Trinity got in touch to try and give me a bit of a trial and a bit of a run out. I'd always supported Wakefield Trinity, so I absolutely jumped at the chance. But that was the first one. I'd got a bit of a hard start to it. I think the first training session that I went to, they'd just played, I think, Huddersfield Giants in the reserve grade under 20s, and they'd lost. And it was basically, we need to work better under pressure, and that pressure being fitness a lot of the time. So my first session of rugby league was getting absolutely drained of any kind of energy and just doing all the things that often rugby players who don't like doing, so all the fitness came into it. So that gave me a bit of a rude awakening to that sport. I did all right at it and got an opportunity at Doncaster Rugby League as I was at university, and my last year at uni I went to Featherstone Rovers, and where that professionalism really kind of hit its heights in my career, and taking a lot of that and bringing it into my coaching with kind of its relevance, and some things just need to be filtered out so that we don't get too carried away with things that aren't necessary. And then as I was finishing university, I needed to get a proper job. So I kind of got an opportunity to sort of play at Huddersfield and sort of work as a teaching assistant at Queggs Junior School, just to sort of fill that sort of void of a job in my life. And that's obviously led me on to my teaching career that I've got at the moment, and that's when I kind of stopped playing rugby league. I had a few little backwards and forwards with league and union through my Huddersfield days. I sort of spent each of the off seasons in both codes going from one to the other. So going back to Doncaster Rugby League and some good years in the Championship there. To be honest, I've loved it. It obviously comes with its challenges. I think when I was taking on the role, people that have done that similar role, I think Wix has also talked about the challenges of it. I got told before I did it that it can be quite a dark place. It can be quite a lonely place because you haven't really got one or the other side. But this club's been great in just allowing me to do one or the other. I think there was a part in the season where I did less coaching and just really got into playing and got into the training sessions and almost being that on-field coach, like I mentioned a bit earlier. But it's been good in that Wix has allowed me to dip in at my own speed. Edler as well, sort of allowing me to, again, be that on-field coach, but then on occasions taking the backs away and doing a session with the backs for 20 minutes whilst we do that unit split. But also, if there's been a session where I think, let me rest my body a little bit, now that I'm knocking on a little bit, I can probably lead a session a little bit a little bit more and just stand at the side and avoid some of the fitness again. I think it has, yeah. I think the players are really open. I think the best thing about the players here, they're really reflective and they want to improve, so they go everywhere they can to try and do that. So when I'm on the field with them, when I'm trying to bridge that gap, like you said, with or bridging the gap between coaching and playing, a lot of players do come to me to ask me, and they can get that instant feedback on the field, as well as you know, in the bar area after the games when we're sort of analysing games, and when we've lost games, they come to me with my thoughts and they ask for my thoughts, and they're really open about doing that. I feel like they don't really see me as a coach too much. I think they might be used to that player-coach transition, so they're able to sort of like just treat me as a coach, and then they can turn. A lot of them come and ask me about what we can do to improve. But I suppose that's kind of what I'm doing in my profession at the moment. I'm kind of, as an assistant head, I'm kind of still a teacher, but I'm having to give some kind of sort of leadership advice to certain areas of my day job as well. So it's been quite. It's got its challenges, and sometimes when players ask if they're selected or not, and it's just right at the end of training when I've just been out performing with them, that's quite a difficult one to answer there and then on selection things. But I suppose being able to work with those other coaches, I can always say, oh, we'll have a discussion with as a group of coaches to discuss selection. I think we need a change in mindset. So I think Woody brought that change in mindset when he sort of stepped in. It might have been just before Christmas that he did. So that a bit of a change in mindset to kind of rid the negative sort of thoughts that we might have all had about how we were playing. So that kind of cleared the air quite a lot on a lot of occasions, where we did a lot of video review and we kind of analysed those areas where we can change and develop. And then I think it was always going to take a bit of time to put in the new kind of system and structure that we're playing with. We've kind of gone from players just getting on the field and just playing what they see and quite an open style of rugby, to actually going on the field now and saying, when I get up from a ruck, when I get up from a tackle, what do I do next? And I think players are now starting to put in that intent and that purpose behind everything that they do, sort of doubling up on efforts, tripling up on efforts, all within the structure that, like I said, it does take a long time to learn and understand, especially in this sport that it's always ever changing. It's always, you can have the most ideal way of playing, but something in there will mean that it doesn't go quite to plan. But I really do think that all those kind of trials and tribulations that we went through the season, as we move forward into next year and trying to just refine the way that we play, all that hardship that we might have gone through those losses, it's really going to help build us towards having that depth and that understanding of how to get out of those holes in a game and really flourish with it. I think all in all, now that we've got this understanding of the structure, that should open up a bit of freedom for the players and be able to express themselves. So when we're coaching next year, a lot of that will be how do we express ourselves the most, and taking those chances that have often presented themselves this year, and sometimes we've not taken them. So moving forward, it's refining those skills, refining those areas that have worked really well and that we've started to work on and really improve in this second half of the season. And rather than that being a constraint, which it might have been at the start of the season, some players thinking too much about it and thinking too hard about getting into shape, that we can now take the gloves off and actually just express ourselves within that now that we know it. Yeah, the forwards do a lot for us, don't they? But I suppose from a back's point of view, watching a couple of games last year, I saw a lot of the highlights from games, but I went to go and watch the semi and the final of the Yorkshire Cup. Straight away, you look at Luke Adams, that offers so much. Cam Allen, those kind of players that can ignite something in a game. That are those that, again, that expression that I mentioned earlier within that shape, they're the type of players that can do that even without a shape. So they've been real positives for us this year. I think a big one recently that we've really tried to get involved more and more often, quite carefully but quite intentionally, is Halley. I think Halley's been absolutely massive for us in these 6 games. Kind of got him introduced into the first team at York away, which is quite a baptism of fire. in the cold and the rain there, and he played inside centre there. So, but he's just able to is really working hard on understanding the game as he sees it, and is just able to absorb and listen to everything that we tell him and what he asks for. In terms of forwards, it's really hard to look beyond Jacob. Doing our initiation together, we kind of went through some tribulations together, so that kind of helped there. But he's been someone that's sort of integrated himself into the culture of the club. He's one of those people that's really likeable, and like a lot of the lads, is just one of everyone. And coming from his sort of student nature at the moment, could have been a difficulty for him, but he's just come into it and just taken on board everything. Again, he's one of those like Halley that listens to everything, wants to learn, and has a real impact on the game. Again, some of the sort of older lads, the players that I played with before, like Austin and Jimmy, they're kind of keeping that honesty in the group, and they're really important for us, just to make sure that we keep these younger lads that have got full of energy, make sure that they play with a calm head and play with some experience from those lads as well. The culture of the club, I think they're a really family orientated club. A lot of players have played through the mini and junior sections together. They keep each other accountable to getting to training, and they just seem to love to be here, whether it's staying after the game and socialising together. That all seems to be a real sort of culture point that we want to keep targeting and keep going on with. And I think that because we get those numbers to training, 30 plus training on a regular basis, it allows all the teams first, seconds. I imagine that the academy lads will start to dip into that through the pre-season as well. So all of that opportunity that can present itself in the first team, you see all those Sandal badges next to each of the names of the first team. Players from the age groups and the academy lads, they see those and really want to buy in and get involved. Kind of the match day experience, you see a lot of kids around that are watching the first and second team, and they're kind of like aspiring to be there as well. I think a lot of us probably work in the area, some of us are teachers as well, where it might help sort of promote the club and help get players interested in coming back down to the club if they're not already. I think they do what they do, and they play with an expression. Again, I mentioned it earlier, that expression that they've got of just seeing the try line, what ways can we get there, and they go for it. I think if they can tighten up maybe on the line out and set piece and things, which a lot of second teams, a lot of first teams need to do as well, if they can do that and keep the ball and retain the ball, there's so much firepower on that team that can really help get over the try line. We saw those high scoring games. I think it was against one of the Sheffield teams. I think it was like a 45-40 and just outscoring the opposition. So absolutely loads and bags of attacking threat. Maybe tighten up in defence and set piece can really sort of see them get over the line with that, and all the best to them as well. It's brilliant this season that we've done that. I'd say Luke Adams, I put him in the matchday programme at the start of the season. I put him, and he's not failed to disappoint all the way through. If he's been on a golf holiday, he comes back and does some extras out on the field, which is really good. Really cares about it. It's easy to say Halley, being a barber. Maybe myself. We'll say Archie. Rich Carr, just dependable. He's been there this season when he's had to be. On occasions where he might not have even been selected, he's there doing the analysis for us, doing everything he can to do more and just benefit everyone around him. George Booth.
That was an easy go.
Being a scrum half, it's easy, isn't it? If we count Aaron Dyer, I think in pre-season he was always at the front. I think Zach might have been out there with him. Henshaw's up there, obviously being heavier lad than some of the backs that might be there at the front. He's always there challenging those at the front as well. The match-winning try. Just the hat trick might not have been a win. So I'll go with that.